Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-ONE. And as you can see, we are, I'm actually in a hotel room. Obviously, you can see by my background. We're on the road, and a lot of times when we do these, we do them right wherever we are. So, excuse the background as well as some old chinchy hotel. It was now, I'm not trying to diss the hotel. But, we just sit in one of these regular hotels here in Brooklyn. I'm about 5 blocks or so away from the Barclays Center, where the bloodbath will start. And so right there in the Barclays Center in the arena is the battle tonight. Big Daddy Kane, KRS-ONE. Shout out to Kane. Shout out to the whole crew. Big up to everyone that is participating. Swiss Beats, Timberland. Big up to everybody. There's a whole bunch of people. Trilla and Chucky and everybody's involved in this particular deal. I was there last night doing reconnaissance in the Barclays Center as well. And there at the Barclays Center, you notice that, whenever you go, really when you do tours or you do shows in general, you try to get there early. You meet everybody, you had a security production. It's a good thing we got there early yesterday. Got a chance to see the production, see how they got us in there, move some things around, this kind of thing, so on. And just something to think about. This is, of course, a battle competition kind of thing. So, it was even doubly better that we were there early to see what was going on. Hung out with Super Cat last night. That was a pretty good situation. So he was performing after a fight. It was a boxing match there. And then Super Cat went on after that. Big up to Super Cat. And I got to shout him out because both me and Mad Lion owe a piece of our careers to this dude right here, Super Cat. Mad Lion for his name, and me for The Bridge Is Over. Super Cat had a record called Say Boops There, Say Go on and Hug Him Up, Say Boops There. And the beat went boom, 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 boom. This was the biggest record in Brooklyn in 1986 or 7, so on. So when I in my battle with Shan, I went and quickly put the beat together, boom, 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 and I played doom, 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 doom off of a piano that was in the studio, and the rest is actually history. Big up to Said G as well. It was his drum machine I was working on, and he's the one who puts the skips in The Bridge Is Over. Do 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 do. He's putting the skips in it. But I laid the beat down, did the piano, and spit the verse. All one take piano, one take beat, one take on the verse, one take on Said G, mixing it down live to half-inch tape. It was crazy. So I mentioned all of this to say that here we are now in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn's on fire, too. I can't even... These people out here going crazy. 6,000, 7,000 people are roaming around waiting for this battle to happen. And it's amazing out here in Brooklyn when I walk around. And yes, I am walking around. Ain't no security, no bodyguards, nothing. Me and Son One was on Nostrand Avenue in Church and Nostrand, getting the good in. And it was good. And this is my neighborhood. I know the whole spot. I went to my old house, actually. Went to my old spot. Looked at it, I'm like, wow, Chris, you came a long way from Brooklyn back in the days. And it was just dope. And so we got that out. But all of this speaks to our lesson today. We're going to finish up the divine performance. And look how that just lines up. Finishing the divine performance, or at least the reading of the divine performance, finishing that up right here as we finish up a debate about who is dope and who is number one and who is the top one of the top 5 MCs. Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, Rakim, Coogee Rap, KRS-ONE. This has been an argument for 35 years. It's been the argument. Well, I'm going to settle it tomorrow. Settle it. Actually, today. I'm sorry. What am I talking about today? Well, actually, you know what? No. And tomorrow. It'll be settled tomorrow. After today, it'll be settled tomorrow. And so, before any battle, or before any major challenge, even, you always go in with prayer. This is not a time to be posturing. This is a time to get low. Humble yourself. Study. Study the enemy's ways. Study the competition. Study, get low. Don't think it's just going to be, oh, it's a piece of cake. No. Let's get on our knees first and acknowledge the Most High God before we enter anything. Because if God ain't in it, you ain't winning. So let's start there. And today is not the day to start praying. Like some are going to be doing when they get on and say, they're going to start praying today. No, you had to start praying back when we were talking about the winter solstice. Back there, when the sun was rising. Remember I told you guys we're rising with the sun? Well, this is the type of prayer that we're talking about today. That when you walk with divinity, walk with holiness, walk with God, walk with your ancestors, when you walk with principle, when challenges arise, you're not moved at all. Like I am not moved at all. In fact, I'm actually a little excited, a little giddy about the whole deal. But I know that I'm there for a bigger purpose. And this is the point. Sure, it's about the other MC and getting the one up on the other MC, and Kane will try to get me as I will try to get him. But if hip-hop doesn't win tonight, no one wins. If hip-hop doesn't win tonight, nobody wins. It don't matter you walk up, oh, you the dopest MC. No, sorry. If hip-hop does not win tonight, nobody wins. And what does that mean? That means that Big Daddy Kane and I are getting a chance to show the world our culture, our era, I should say, our era, the era of showmanship, MCing, classic records that people know, and how you deliver them. This is what it is. We're showing people the real culture. We're not just going to be up there disrespecting each other. We're also going to show the elements of the culture, popping, breaking, MCing, DJing. DJ Scratch is DJing for Big Daddy Kane. And Scratch is the best in the world. In terms of all that cutting and stuff, that's DJ Scratch. I'm rolling out with Kid Capri. He started all of those DJs, Scratch and all the rest of that. This is going to be an interesting situation. But you don't go into no battle without prayer. And it just so happens that the gospel of hip hop is leading us right to that. And it's so funny that when you walk this, when you walk this path, you actually I'm just gonna put my deal right here. Yeah, that's it. You actually when you walk this path, the advice of the gospel hits you right at the moment you're supposed to get it. And that's the point to reading with the teacher, the gospel of hip hop. Because here now, and you see groups do this all the time. Groups often, it's not a battle. Just before they go into a performance, they get together with their team and they say a prayer. And then they go and do their performance. This is a tradition amongst many artists. But I find it divinely appropriate that at this particular juncture with a show today, by the way, in a few hours, we're going to read this and I'm going to go, okay? In a few hours, that perform prayer would be today's lesson. Perform prayer on a Sunday with the show going down today at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and the gospel is advising us to perform prayer. So just before we start, I'm going to turn your gospel to page 186. 186. We're going to read perform prayer and perform hip hop. Perform prayer is where we're going to start. Before we start, I always say, introduce you to the Temple of Hip Hop. This is the Temple of Hip Hop. Anywhere we are, the Temple of Hip Hop is. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We are committed to hip hop as a divinely inspired culture. We are among the first to even discuss hip hop as culture, as a community. And this is the tradition that we keep going. This is what we are actually about. We're about hip hop and the preservation of it. It's not just about our careers or what we can get and this, that, and the other. I mean, you know, of course you want to be successful in what you do, but to be here, this is not what this is. This is what can you give to hip hop? How do you approach hip hop? What does hip hop mean to you? Are you a citizen of the culture? So that's what the temple of hip hop is all about. And of course, we come from a spiritual point of view. We're not ashamed, afraid to say God, man, spirit, love, unity, understanding, charity, faith, hope. We're not afraid of these words and not ashamed to speak them openly and publicly. That's what the temple of hip hop is all about. We are the spiritual light in hip hop. We started, of course, under other auspices, Boogie Down Productions. This is on a side note, but really to stop the violence movement, Human Education Against Lies. We influenced All in the Same Gang. And then, of course, in 1996, it was the Temple of Hip Hop. And then we went on to declare hip hop an international culture at the United Nations. Our work continues. Just last month or so, a couple of weeks ago, you heard us, we was dealing with Senate Resolution 331 and Senate Resolution 335. We're working with Chuck Schumer on that. Big up to everybody, Leroy and others, Hurt, Cindy, and everyone else that made that possible. This is our work. This is our work behind the scenes. So I give you that piece so that you understand what this is all about, what the temple of hip hop is all about. Soon we'll be announcing a hip hop city. This is our vision, to announce a hip hop city, to have a district like little Italy or Chinatown or Little Greece or little Caribbean they got in Brooklyn. I mention this all the time. There should be a section for hip hop in a city, in any city, in all the cities of America. Really, should be little hip hop and little hip hop, or Hip Hopia is the official title, or the city of hip hop. This is what we're looking for. Have a small section. So the Temple of Hip Hop is working on that. And to do that, we have to convince senators, religious people, scientists, sports figures, artists, attorneys and courts, people in law, that hip hop is a legitimate culture and that it deserves your respect as a legitimate culture. One of these respects is to spell hip hop with a capital H. Stop spelling hip hop in lowercase. We are a people. We are a community of unique people. We are distinct in the world. In fact, hip hop is a proper noun. So you should spell it capital H, lowercase IP, space, capital H, lowercase OP. And there are other spellings, but that's deeper into our lesson. That's the correct spelling. Capital H, lowercase OP, space, capital H, lowercase OP. Hip hop. So this is what the Temple of Hip Hop is all about. Turn your Gospels now to to page 186 in the Gospel of Hip Hop. I am reading now Perform Prayer, and what we're going to do is we're going to read this. We're going to read this, and I'm going to go through it pretty quickly because I have sound check right now, and I didn't want to not do this lesson. Say that. Yeah. Minister Son, I didn't give my shout outs. Minister Son One in the background. G Simone is here as well. And big up to everyone who came in to Brooklyn for this show tonight. And as usual, and shout out to Pascal as well. Big up to, matter of fact, let me spend some time on Pascal real quick, because the record Crazy that I just released is crazy. And people are responding to it in that way. Pascal produced that. So shout out to Pascal. He slid me a beat maybe 6-7 months ago. I jumped on it and it became what you're hearing now. The record is called Crazy. If you haven't heard it, it's streaming right now. It's called Crazy. And got a nice compliment from Busta Rhymes last night over the record Crazy. Others are hearing it and realizing what it is. So there it is. So turn your gospel now to page 186. Let's start. This is the 17th performance. It's called Perform Prayer. Both regularly and randomly, raise your heart to God in prayer. Make time to pray. Take time to pray. Pray in the shower. Pray while driving, while working, while walking, while working, etc. Thank God often and find peace in the security of God's presence. Do not concentrate on the proper words to say. Focus more upon expressing the joys, questions, cries, and groans of your own heart. That's the true prayer. The prayer is not words. God doesn't speak English, French, Spanish, Swahili, none of it. God speaks the groanings of your heart. Your intent, really your emotions in this area, is what God can hear, what nature can respond to. It's not these words, it's the feeling and the intent behind these words. You can say all day, God, I really need help. But these words don't mean nothing until you start crying. God, I really need. Then it's not the cry. I'm sorry, it's not the words that God, it's the cry. It's the cry. When you say, God, walk with me now. I need prosperity and abundance. You can say those words all day. But if you yourself don't feel that, you have to feel it. I walk with God and I have abundance in everything I need right now. You have to feel that. And it draws it right down to you. God will respond to those who believe in themselves. It's an old French revolutionary saying that they used to say, God helps those that help themselves. You might have heard of it, but it's from the French Revolution. It's actually the saying that got them started. God helps those that help themselves. And they got to chopping off the heads of the people who are oppressing them. Anyway, paragraph 1, prayer is relaxing. It lowers one's heart rate and blood pressure. For us, Templars, prayer is not ritualistic or repetitive speech. Do not posture before God. Allow your heart to cry out to God with God. For it is the sincere cry of the heart in joy or in sadness that attracts the response of the Great Spirit, not words. Know through righteous living that you are loved and cared for, and that your God will always make a way for you. Know in your heart that your God already sees what you need. So when you pray, thank God for satisfying your needs in advance. Thank your God for the finished work. See, that's somebody who expects to get, somebody who expects to receive, somebody who expects to overcome. You already see the finished work. For everything already exists, and it is readily available to you now. For it is only your doubts that block or deny the existence of everything happening to you at once, so that out of your own fear of chaos, you can bring order to your world. When praying, simply allow things to happen by ceasing your doubt and or fear of them happening. And this is science too, by the way. I don't like to rely too much on science or politics. I'm a spirit dude myself. But here I have to admit that this is scientific right here, that perception, our brain works in this way. We are picking up more information around us than we are actually aware of. The brain is seeing and hearing so much more than what we are dealing with in terms of what we are conscious of. The unconscious sees a lot more and is aware of a lot more than what the conscious is aware of. So we are here conscious. What's making us conscious is not the fact that we know a whole bunch of things. What's making us conscious is the fact that we don't know. We're being denied chaos so that we can see order. We're being denied darkness so we can see light. Or rather, we're being denied light so that we can see the darkness. Either way. So realize that everything is already with you right now. Everything in existence is already with you. Space is the construct that makes us believe that there's separate things. But there is no separation in anything. This is the reason why you can listen to me right now speak, because there's no space, really. This is a construct. And scientists and spiritualists and mystics and philosophers have realized that this medium that we're dealing with right now is only the physical or technical manifestation of true reality. This could not be happening unless this was the true reality. The fake reality is that I'm here and you're there. That's not true. What's true is we are both sitting in the same place right now. But because of space and time, we perceive ourselves as separate individual beings and all of this other stuff. You know, I'm separate from the book, separate from the clothes, separate from this and that, the wall, the yee. But that's all an illusion. Everything is already here right now. You part of everything right now. But you just choose to see things the way in which you're seeing them, because how can you exist with everything going on? You just be still. You just be like this because everything's going on. You don't need nothing. You don't want nothing. You can't have nothing. You're just everything. And that's really not a fun place to be. It's a great immortal and eternal place to be. But I think us humans or the mind or spirit beings, we find that area boring and we come here into this dimension so that we can make things up, so we can have fun with space and time and reality, making things up. But in reality, true reality, everything's one. Everything's one. Everything's already here. Nature does not work with addition. Nature works with subtraction. You notice how nature will make a whole bunch of stuff and start subtracting it down to the one. Let's continue. Stop doubting and or denying the existence of those things that you want. Everything you need already exists in your reality. Stop doubting and or denying that those things you desire are separate and distant from your immediate reality. That's all it takes. And it's a simple thing, but it's the most difficult, to believe in yourself. Simply allow them, whatever you need, to exist in your world. Let there be this and let there be that. Expect what you want in prayer. Expect it. However, it is important to remember that God is an exact God. Everything you need, you already have. You really already have. Most of the time, we simply are not looking clearly enough into our own environments. Sometimes we also become convinced of the importance of things that we really do not need. Be careful. I'm going to say this part again, and you don't have to highlight it, but it's an important part. However, it is important to remember that God is an exact God. Everything you need, you really already have. Most of the time, we simply are not looking clearly enough into our own environments. Sometimes we also become convinced of the importance of things that we really do not need. Be careful. Here's a strong prayer. If you want to pray it with me right now. Here's a strong prayer. Great and Holy Spirit, I am the light of my world, the love that guides me. Enter now into this temple, fulfilling the purpose for which it was built. Lord Jesus. Wait a minute. I gotta. Woo! Just before we go over here, this is what I'm saying. Enter now into this temple, fulfilling the purpose for which it was built. I am clean and unafraid. Great Spirit, keep my foot upon the path of holiness, that I may give without watching the course and endure without stress. I am in your care and protection. For when my eyes cannot see a way, your love reveals the obvious, and I am saved again. There it is. Say this with your whole heart. Feel it, see it, believe it, know it. Use your heart and expect God's response. Move in this faith. But remember, your prayers are more likely to be answered when your prayer requests are also in harmony with your being. You're in harmony with your being, with your intentions, with your true thoughts and actions. Know this. Hip-hoppers do not always get what they want in prayer. Most of the time, they get exactly who they are in life. Now let's start highlighting. I need a pen. Oh, am I missing something up here? No. Oh. And you know, I wait till I get here to always be reaching for a pen. We got to stop this. Good luck. Um, this is what we want to we want to highlight here, because this is also important about your prayers, about when you pray. Let me hit you with it one more time. Know this: hip hoppers do not always get what they want in prayer. Most of the time, they receive exactly who they are in life. For it is who you are that shall determine what you shall receive in prayer. You receive what you believe, and you achieve what you perceive. This whole thing we're going to outline, we're going to highlight this whole thing. You get what you expect and respect. You can only attract that which you really are. Let's highlight that whole piece. Let me hit you with it one more time. This is paragraph 8. We're gonna highlight paragraph 8. Okay, here we go. Know this: hip hoppers do not always get what they want in prayer. Most of the time, we receive exactly who we are in life. That's what you're gonna get. When you pray, it's your intent that's going out, and that's what you're going to receive. It's your character that's going out. That's what you're going to receive. For it is who you are that shall determine what you shall receive in prayer. You receive what you believe, and you achieve what you perceive. Do you hear that? You receive what you believe, and you achieve what you perceive. Oh, man, here we go. You get what you expect and respect. And that's an important line. You only can get what you expect to get. You can only get what you respect. The things you don't respect, you don't get. You can only attract that which you really are. Therefore, care not for what the world believes is valuable, and care not for how things may appear to be to your intellect. Recognize only the oneness and simply allow things to come to you. Everything you want is already with you now. Your reality is really a world of possibilities. You decide what comes in and out of your reality based upon your level of expectancy. Did you hear that? You decide what comes in and out of your reality based on your level of expectancy. What do you expect? We say all day, man, I want $1 million, but you really don't expect to get it. You really don't expect it. That car looks great, that house, but you don't. That's why you're gawking at it, because it's out of your reach. It's better to just wish. I just wish. And that's funny too, because I'm talking here also about the power of positive thinking. These are other titles as well. And you would see today in 2021, look, I'm thinking of the movie Wonder Woman. They turned the power of positive thinking into a villain. This is a side note. I'm just thinking about it while I'm reading this right here. But look at how capitalist culture, colonial culture, does all cultures. Okay, not just Black culture, Latino culture, Native American culture, or any other culture, whatever. No. Look at how everybody's getting dissed. Okay, now this is the power of positive thinking. This has no race to it. There's no color, no race, no nothing, no class, nothing. If you know the knowledge, if you have the knowledge, you use it to your advantage. And many millions of people have used this and have received the results they're no short of miraculous. Some of you have already received and have already tested this and know that what I'm saying is true. But when you go to the movie Wonder Woman, the latest one, the villain in the movie is a positive thinker. And they relegate this whole concept of how you could use your mind to manipulate reality, which is science and spirit. They say this is the villain. You're wishful thinking. You're wishfully thinking. And I'm living proof of that wishful thinking. Everything about me is that positive thinking. Started from nothing. All I had was that. That's all I had was the advice from philosophers before me that said, It don't matter what you got. It's the mind that perceives what you got. And I said, really? Yes. What do you expect? Well, I expect to be the greatest MC in the world. That's what I expect. And thus I walk the path. And now tonight, I will have a chance to show my ass to the whole world. And so you can't tell me that the power of positive thinking don't work. It works. And I'm living proof of it. And that's the other reason I digress, because don't just hear words coming out my mouth. The Temple of Hip Hop is an action ministry. Action. If I'm not doing what I'm teaching, then don't even turn me off. Click it off. And go find something else to do with your time. Because this is real ministry right here. We are doing what we're teaching. And that's the point. This is about the power of positive thinking. Just on another level, I went off into the Wonder Woman. If you haven't seen Wonder Woman, go check the movie. The villain in the movie is a dude that is really abusing the power of positive thinking. But nonetheless, he's the villain. How do you make positive thinking a villain? And this is a movie also for kids and for families. Whatever. Let's continue reading. I wanted to just emphasize that. Just wanted to emphasize that as well, about how capitalist culture does all cultures. And here we're reading about the power of positive thinking. You go to Wonder Woman. This is the enemy now. This is illegal knowledge I'm giving you now. This is another 50 years. The kids growing up, if nobody explained to them like what this is, they will see these books later on and be like, because you saw Wonder Woman, you're turned off from something that could probably save your life. This is all knowledge too. This is how we are approaching a lot of things based on TV, radio, mass media. We form opinions. And these opinions, you don't realize that everything in mass media is about getting money out of your pocket. So you can't believe everything you see and hear, you know, in that way. And it's a shame that I have to actually say that. It's a shame. I actually have to be explicit and say you shouldn't believe everything you hear and see on radio and on the internet. Okay. Paragraph 10. I'm on page 188. When praying, you not only expect God, but you also respect God. Prayer proves one's respect for God, and you get more of what you respect. Therefore, after you've opened your door of respectancy, that's a new word, respectancy, open your door of expectancy. Be still and allow things to happen. This will take courage, because it is your own fears and disbeliefs that keeps all of the chaos of actual reality away from your conscious awareness. This is what prayer is all about. It's about access, not excess. This is what prayer is all about. It's about access, not excess. Prayer is a special language humans use to communicate to the guiding force in their lives, whatever that force is, whatever you perceive that force is. Prayer is that communication with that force. Know this: the prayer of the attuned hip hopper has to do with spiritually accessing the productive resources and circumstances that are already available to oneself. The attuned hip hopper prays, communicates with God. And notice how I am writing this. The attuned hip hopper prays with God, not to God. When you pray to God, there is a distance between you and God. In a way, your prayer must still reach God. But when you pray with God, there is no distance, no space, and no intervals of time. Your prayer request can happen instantly. When you pray, thank God and know that the blessing has already been granted and that it must only be revealed to you through you. Thank God for what you already have and ask to always be enlightened of God's plan. You always want your prayer requests to be in harmony with God. Sometimes God will give you your request only to show how useless and silly your needed request actually was. Before you ask about what you want, ask first to know what God wants. God is concerned with human development. So when you pray for yourself, sincerely pray for others, even those people that you do not personally know or do not even personally like. The heart can be, the heart can sincerely do, the heart that can sincerely do that, what I just said, is always heard by God. Remember, God is praying with you. The Great Spirit answers all prayers. No prayer goes unanswered. For if you are truly not in possession of that which you are praying for, God will truly provide it. But if you already possess that which you pray for, God will not answer your request twice. Therefore, if your prayer goes unanswered, either you are being protected from your own ignorance, or you already have that which you are praying for and you simply have not comprehended it yet. And that's how prayer works. If your prayers are not received, you're being protected. If your prayer is received, then you got what you wanted. But prayer is always answered, always. We must remember to pray that you may see the solutions that we may see the solutions that we already have, and always ask God for the protection that we cannot see. For when you pray, you do not always get what you pray for. Most of the time, you actually get exactly what you need. Those things that you have, you don't. Those things that you don't have, you don't need. Those places that you don't go are also dangerous for you. Trust the love of the Great Spirit. Remember, all prayers are answered. The question is, are you in the environment or awareness of your answered prayer? Many people receive their answered prayer many times and simply don't see it because they are expecting it to come from a familiar place or source. So let's get into this part now. Therefore, as attuned hip hoppers, we must be open and receptive to the unexpected activities of God. We must be willing to identify and retrieve our blessing and answered prayers from, through, and in unconventional, unexpected, and beyond normal circumstances, sources, and places. Can you walk like that? Because see, most people, they say, I walk with God, but they really enslave God. They have God on a leash. God can only go where they go. You see, I'm walking with God, but the only place God going is where you going. Now, you see, I walk with God. Now be sensitive to enough to walk with a God and see how that happens. What a miraculous walk that is. To actually walk with God. Say, God, today when I walk outside, I'm walking with you. Now, I do have an agenda. We do have things to do today, God, but I'm walking with you. Help me get this done today. So now you can't be judgmental of people. You can't be racist, sexist. You can't be doubtful, fearful, anxiety. How you walking with God? Because God will have you walk out in the middle of the highway. And you be like, what am I doing in the middle of the highway? And it was right there. You were supposed to meet this woman cop who was going to come up and grab your ass from the highway, but that's going to be your future wife because that's what you prayed for. God, I really need a companion right now. And right there, you jumped in your car to go get gas, and this chick ran right into you, damaged your whole car, put you in the hospital. But that woman turned out to be your wife. That's how, right? And it's not always those detrimental. I'm just making it, as extreme. I'm just giving you an example of the extreme. Because the other side to it can be, you want to be the number one MC in the world, right? Yes. Well, here's now a Barclays Center. You get who you are when you pray. You don't get, what you want. You get who you are. And so, when you walking with God, God is walking through the Barclay now. I'm only following. I'm following. God walking through the Barclay now. God walking up, big up to Detroit. The Masonic Temple up in Detroit. We're gonna be up in there, getting it in. Okay, big up to the Kennedy Center in Washington somewhere. Big up. We're gonna be walking through there, and then of course the lectures, and of course right now, God is with us right now in this room right now with you. in the room right now. God is reading with us right now. Our ancestors are reading with us right now. Do you expect that? Do you respect that? That's the path. This is the path. This is the inward path. This is what it comes down to. How serious are you about your spirituality? How serious are you about your God, about your ancestors, about your own vibrational energy even? Does these things mean anything to you? Anything? Do these things mean anything to you? Because this is when you have to really start to question yourself. Am I really walking the path, or am I just satisfying my emotions? Am I walking with God for real, or is God being dragged along by me to whatever I want to go do? And God, just help me do what I want to do. Help me pay my rent. And you're talking to God. Imagine people talk to God and say, God, help me pay my rent. And you're talking to an intelligence that can wipe out the whole concept of housing. like you don't even have to even be in this arena, okay, with rent, housing, all this other. You're dealing with a higher intelligence, and you got to ask yourself, how am I supposed to walk with a higher intelligence? You're supposed to give up yourself on this level and allow yourself to be guided. But it takes years, and it's a sensitivity with it. You don't try this at home, without proper guidance, because the devil's guiding people too. Keep that in mind. So, those things, I'm gonna say this one again. Those things that you don't have, you don't need. This is the character of the path that we're talking about. Those things that you don't have, you don't need. Those places that you don't go are also dangerous for you. Trust the love of the Great Spirit. Remember, all prayers are answered. The question is, are you in the environment or awareness? I'm reading this whole thing again. Awareness of your answered prayer. Many people receive their answered prayer many times and simply do not see it because they are expecting it to come from a familiar place or source. Therefore, as attuned hip hoppers, we must be open and receptive to the unexpected activities of God. We must be willing to identify and retrieve our blessings and answered prayers from, through, and in unconventional, unexpected, and beyond normal circumstances, sources, and places. Remember, you are speaking with God. God, we're speaking with you. When you earnestly pray, and your God has an infinite amount of ways to deliver to you the desires of your heart, an infinite amount of ways to do it. The challenge for many is that they reduce God to their own understanding, which blinds them from seeing God for real. You cannot ask an infinite source to communicate back to you in only one way, on one day, through one person or one thing. God is spirit, and to communicate to spirit, you yourself must become spirit. As a spirit being operating effortlessly in the spirit realm, you can then see God and God's activity ultimately leading to your fulfillment. So when you pray or communicate with God, seek understanding into the mind of God, the will of God, and the plan of God. Your God already has your best interests in mind. Everything is already working in your favor. The challenge for you is to really believe this. Do you truly perceive and expect God's loving care? When you pray, perform your prayers in faith. Act upon them. Perform prayer. That's the end of perform prayer. Because of time restraints, we're not going to do a break. I'm just going to sit for 1 minute for like 30 seconds right here. Just a quick break, and then we're going to go right into perform hip hop. I'm coming up against the clock because I have to do sound check in a few, maybe another half hour or so. So just bear with us. Take this meditative moment right now to ponder what we just read. Prayer, okay, comes through you, not to you. Your answers to your prayer come through you, not to you. When you pray, you're going to receive who you are as a person, not what your mouth is saying. And then, of course, with the mouth, it's not about the mouth. It's not about the words. It's not about any of that. It's about the heartfelt intent, no matter what you say. You can say, aduga, duga, duga. But if aduga, duga, duga got that feeling behind it, aduga, duga, duga is what's going to get heard. You can say, I love you, God, and I've been with you, God, all my life, and I love God, and I need you now, God, to come with me now. But if you really don't feel that, and you really don't have no love for God, you're just afraid of the situation you get ready to go into, you ain't getting nothing. You're going to get more of what you actually feel, the fear. That's what you're going to get, more of that. And then you're going to say, oh, God didn't listen, or God didn't hear me, or I don't believe in God no more. Nah. You don't have knowledge of God. You don't know how to talk to God, talk to the universe. And that's what temples are about, or should be about, is what churches, mosques, what we should be about. Teaching our people how to speak to God, how to converse with the universe, how to communicate to nature so that you could take the advantage. Nature's giving you advantages. God's supreme intelligence is giving you advantages. But imagine if you're speaking to someone who has no hearing, it's irrelevant. If you're showing somebody something and they have no eyes, it's irrelevant. You have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. And that's what we're teaching here today. Let's just take a moment real quick. I'm just going to quiet down. This is a meditative moment. We're taking a break. Okay. Okay, let us come up out of our break. And I'm going to, I'm on page 191 of the Gospel of Hip Hop. Page 191, I'm reading from the 18th and final performance of the divine performances. And remember that each of these performances are linked together. All 18 divine performances is one character. This whole 18 performances is one character. This is the character that walks the path, at least from a hip hop perspective. Here now, paragraph 18. Paragraph 18. It's called Perform Hip Hop on this day. Perform hip hop. And not just perform hip hop as music, perform hip hop as culture, as lifestyle, as being. This is a great, great tradition we have, a great custom, a great ritual we have. It is a reality maker, hip hop. Hip hop is a reality maker. This is the character that brings that reality into fruition, into the material world. So perform hip hop. Be conscious of hip hop as God's response to our suffering. In fact, you know what? Underline that. Let's just get that first part right there. Okay. Remember, you know what? The whole paragraph. The whole first one. I just need to go ahead and do that. Okay. Let me hit you with it again, because this is so potent. This is it right here. Let me hit you with it again. Be conscious, be aware of hip hop as God's response to our suffering. For hip hop is the strategy that freed us from sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. There's no truth beyond that truth. That's the truth of hip hop right there. Anything contradicting this is a demon. Okay, straight up. What? Be conscious of hip hop as God's response to our suffering. Corporations can't go there. They adding to our suffering, promoting us in criminal ways, criminalizing the culture, degrading the culture, showing us irresponsibly. They adding to our suffering. Total contradiction. For hip hop is the strategy that freed us from sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty. What are they pushing on us now? Sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty. That's what they're pushing on us right now. But you can't shirk from it. As the teacher, you have to walk into the sickness to heal. You have to walk into the hatred to show the love. You got to walk into the ignorance to bring the awareness. Walk into the poverty, giving to show the charity and show the real wealth. And this is important, and that's why this character, the whole divine performance, is of great importance. We've just prayed or explained prayer, at least from a hip hop perspective. Now we're taking all of this and we're saying now we are who we say we are. Be conscious of hip hop as God's response to our suffering. See, everybody can't say that, but we can, because that's what happened. Those are the facts. That's what happened. Hip hop is the strategy to free us from sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty, and restoring us to health, love, awareness, and wealth. That's the facts. Anybody promoting sickness, hate, ignorance, or poverty, that ain't hip hop, and they on their way out. Be conscious of hip hop as a divine blessing with divine purpose. That hip hop is beyond entertainment and worldly validation. Be conscious of hip hop as a lifestyle, as an awareness that hip hop, and notice the spelling on both of these, is a unique and empowering identity that has developed into an international community culture of specialized people. Be conscious of hip hop as its 9 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. That's here as BEGD. BFLKE. That's what that means. And teach them by example. At all times, perform hip hop's elements with perfect skill. Whatever the specific element might be, the attuned hip hopper has mastered it and has perfected it. Now we're going to outline, let's highlight paragraph 5, the whole paragraph 5. I'll read it to you right now. The attuned hip hopper is hip hop and is conscious of how hip hop is expressed in society. This is it. This is how you know when you're talking to a real hip hopper. Why? Because the attuned hip hopper is hip hop and is conscious of how hip hop is expressed in society. Performing hip hop is all about having the courage to be your true self, to express your true identity. Self-creation is the ultimate hip hop performance. We are not just doing hip hop, we are hip hop. A wholly integrated people having omnipresent power. You need to feel that. You need to really, really feel that. Because if this is what you expect and respect, this is what you're going to get. The attuned hip hopper is hip hop and is conscious of how hip hop is expressed in society. Performing hip hop is all about having the courage to be your true self, to express your true identity. Self-creation is the ultimate hip hop performance. Self-creation is the ultimate performance, not rapping, breaking, DJing, and all that. Create yourself, bring the inner to the outer. That's the ultimate hip hop performance. We are not just doing hip hop, we are hip hop, a wholly integrated people having omnipresent power. Those who criticize hip hop today as being obscene, misogynistic, and criminal are just as immature and limited in their thinking as we appear to be in ours. Everybody talking ignorance. If we were approached with any kind of respect, hip hop, if we were approached with any kind of respect, or even compassion, or even logic, our critics would see us not as a bunch of irresponsible, money-hungry thugs, but as a forgotten group of people trying to survive in an already corrupt world, making the best out of the conditions we found ourselves in at birth. This is in no way an excuse for our own immaturity. You know that. However, our immaturity today will be the warnings to future hip hoppers as to what not to do and where not to go in the future. As long as hip hop is regarded as a music genre, it shall always be criticized in the way that it is being criticized today. However, when hip hop is viewed as an international culture, viewed as the international culture that it is, we come to the realization that hip hop is going through the same growing pains that most of the world's cultures have gone through at their origins. Any logical, compassionate eye would see that hip hop is in need of help. Instead of criticizing hip hop, show us your better way of life. Reveal to us the folly of our ways and point us in the right direction. And while you're at it, try listening to our concerns and grievances and try to remedy them. See, this is what we're not getting. We're getting criticism, but no assistance, no help, and no advice. That's called oppression, tyranny. That's what that is. You just dissing us. Anytime you have a criticism against something, you should be willing to help to make it better. You don't just criticize. You roll up your sleeves with a solution. But when people are coming here just criticizing hip hop and have no solutions, then we see what you about. And now we must defend ourselves. We are fully aware as to what we look and sound like in mass media today, and we don't even like it. Okay, that's how they depicting us. And we are even frustrated with ourselves. But we also understand the struggles of our people and why we look and sound the way that we do. In fact, the hip hop community is known for warning other communities about the fallacies of living a criminal life. Our advice comes from experience. Hip hop is always warning other cultures. You don't want that, G. You don't need that, G. I was already there, G. Hip hoppers are known for that. For the whole time we've been out, the so-called gangsters of hip hop are always warning the community. This ain't the life we want to live. This is the life we had to live. You should get out of that culture, gang culture, drug culture, this, that, and the other. All hip hoppers that are supposed to be gangsters and street dudes is warning people, you don't need this. We know that cultures are like people, and just as people teach people, cultures teach other cultures. Hip hop is no different in this regard. It is only natural that as a young community, we will make mistakes, and we have. However, we will not be young forever, and we will not be immature for long. Yes, we will grow up. However, in the meantime, our immaturity should motivate others toward their own maturity. Our immature behavior today is teaching all the world's cultures, including future hip hoppers, what not to do and what not to become. When you see us acting stupid, you should check yourself to see if you're not acting just as stupid in another area of life. The truth is, every culture teaches other cultures, and today hip-hop is teaching the world about the inevitable path of suffering caused by putting worldly prestige and power above God. We shall outgrow this lesson and produce other lessons, and with our collective life experiences, let me read that again. We shall outgrow this lesson and produce other lessons with our collective life experiences. But while we are young, we are in the process of relearning the world for ourselves, and this process is not easy. We are in the process right now of knowing the world and God for ourselves. Such is a painful process. That's what we're going through right now. That's why we're going to celebrate the first 50 years of hip hop coming up in 2023. We made it. 50 years. Wow. Hip hop. Okay. Therefore, let us perform hip hop on a higher level. 16 is highlight. The whole 16, what I'm about to read, is highlight. 16, highlight the paragraph. Therefore, let us perform hip hop on a higher level. Let us and wait a minute, I have to stop here because the way it says hip hop on a higher level, that was the quote taken from me and put on XXL magazine. That's why I put it there, because they took the quote, but then when you read the I criticize it, but I don't know. In the earlier days, maybe it was on a higher level, but XXL as it went on, I don't know. We lost that higher level, in my opinion, the author of the statement. Therefore, let us perform hip-hop on a higher level. Let us as hip-hoppers strive to be better than we were yesterday. Every day, let's seek ways to be responsible toward one another and collectively mature with our handling of hip-hop. We may start out criminal-minded, but indeed, we shall all end up spiritual-minded. Make sure you outline that whole thing. That is a prophecy, right? That is the truth. As James Freeman Clark teaches, quote, progress in the sense of acquisition is something, like getting stuff is something, but progress in the sense of being is a great deal more. To grow higher, deeper, wider as the years go on, to conquer difficulties and acquire more and more power, to feel all of one's faculties unfolding and truth descending into the soul. This makes life worth living, end quote. And your teacher is a direct example of that right there. Growing, expanding, seeing the divinity, feeling it fall down into your soul, or as it says here, descending into the soul. I take it all in. I take it all in. This is going to conclude our lesson for this week. You know I'm running. Normally we would spend much more time. This has only been about an hour. Wow, look at that. I should do more sound checks, right? It's only been about an hour, but that's what it is. I got to go now and put on the KRS-ONE armor. And I'm just prayed up. All of you, I'll give you a second to send me your positive vibrations. Send them to me right now, your positive vibrations. Tell my soul what is going to happen right now. Give me the power, the energy of your positive thinking to my figure, my face right now. I'll give you a quick 10 seconds. I heard that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for another week. Join us next week. Those that are here on the East Coast, it's 12 o'clock. We start every Sunday, 12 o'clock. We go for about 3 hours, but this is 1 hour because we got to run over to the Barclay and do our thing. I'll see you guys next week, and we'll talk more about this afterwards. Probably have a lot to talk about after today. So thank you again, and peace and love. I'll see you guys in a minute.